I told you that one simple mindset shift could completely rewrite your destiny, that the difference between those who win and those who wish is not talent, not luck, not even opportunity. It's mental attitude. You see, divers et les petits esprits discutent these. There are people who spend their lives waiting for the right moment, the right connection, the right chance, and then there are those who create their moment. The difference, a mindset that says, et esprits discutent these. Everything starts with me, because when you believe that your life is in your hands, you stop making excuses, you stop blaming circumstances, and you start taking command. Les petits esprits discutent this. That's the mindset that changes everything, the mindset of responsibility, resilience, and relentless action. Winners don't say, why me? They say, try me. They don't avoid pressure, they grow under it. Ces petits esprits discutent this. And because they understand when diamonds are made out of different, not from comfort. I remember meeting a young entrepreneur who told me, Michaël, I failed 3 times. Did discute in this. Maybe I'm not meant for success. Nah, for success. I looked him straight in the eye and said, no, you've just trained 3 times. Every failure is not a wall. It's a mirror. It reflects what you need to learn to go further. Esprits discutent this. The only ones who stay down are those who stop seeing beyond the fall. The rest, they use the fall as fuel. Change your mindset from fear to curiosity. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Start asking, it is esprits discutent is. What might I discover if I try? Every action you take builds belief. And every belief you hold fuels your next action. It's a cycle of power, but it begins inside your mind. The strongest people aren't those who never doubt. They're the ones who decide anyway. When life says no, the life says no. The right mindset says when doors close, the right mindset builds another door. When the world doubts you, les petits esprits discutent this. The right mindset reminds you that belief doesn't come from them, it comes from you. So if you want to change your results, don't start with your goals, start with your beliefs, because the truth is simple. Discutent in this. Success is not something you achieve, it's something you become, and becoming begins in the mind, and the mindset of responsibility transforms obstacles into opportunities. It's discutent these. This single belief separates those who drift from those who dominate. It's easy to blame, to point fingers, to justify why things didn't go as planned. But it's as discutent this. The market was bad, the timing wasn't right, people didn't support me. These are the classic lines of someone who's handed their power over to circumstances. Responsibility, on the other hand, is the moment you grab the power back. It's the moment you decide that no matter what happens around you, what truly matters is what you do next. Responsibility doesn't mean guilt. It's not about saying everything is your fault. It's about ownership. Full ownership of your reactions, your energy, your choices, your focus. When you take responsibility, you stop being a victim of life and start being the architect of it. Think about it. Every time you say, discutent this, I can't because of this, you build a wall. But every time you say, I will, despite this, you open a door. Responsibility is the mindset that sees doors where others only see walls. Let's take an example. Les petits esprits discutent this. Imagine 2 salespeople who lose an important client. The first one says they were impossible to please. The second one says, what could I have done better to keep them? The first person sees defeat, the second sees data. Les petits esprits discutent these. The first gives up power, the second gains insight. Guess which one grows? Responsibility transforms mistakes into lessons and pressure into progress. That's why some people rise faster than others. They don't waste energy blaming these. They invest it learning. The people who achieve the most in life are not necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected. They are the ones who refuse to let excuses live in their mind. Esprits discutent this. They wake up every day with a simple philosophy. If it is to be, it's up to me. That mindset changes everything. Because when you believe you are responsible for your outcomes, you automatically start thinking in solutions. Petits esprits discutent this. No problems. You start searching for the next step instead of replaying the setback. Responsibility gives birth to creativity. When you take ownership, esprits discutent this. Your brain stops asking, why me? And starts asking, how can I fix this? And that question, how, is the spark of progress. Responsibility pushes you to take initiative, to adapt, to grow. Petits esprits discutent this. It transforms a closed door into a challenge, a problem into an opportunity, and failure into fuel. You become proactive instead of reactive, and that's the mental shift that defines leaders. Look at every great innovator, athlete. Yeet esprit or entrepreneur, they all share this trait. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They make them perfect through action. When Steve Jobs faced resistance building Apple, he didn't blame the market or technology. He took responsibility for the vision. When Serena Williams lost a match, she didn't blame the referee. She took responsibility for training harder. Responsibility doesn't just change your mindset. It changes your habits, your behavior, your entire trajectory. Because once you accept that your life is in your hands, everything changes. Suddenly excuses feel heavy. Complaints feel pointless. Blame feels weak. You begin to move differently. You stop depending on motivation and start relying on discipline. You no longer wait for someone to save you because you've realized you are the one who can. That's the birth of inner strength. The birth of inner strength. The quiet confidence that says, no matter what happens, I'll handle it. Responsibility also builds resilience. When you own your challenges, you stop fearing them. You start seeing every obstacle as part of the process, every setback as training for what's next. You develop emotional muscle, and with every challenge you overcome, your sense of control deepens. That control fuels confidence. And confidence fuels results. It's a chain reaction, one that begins with a single decision to stop blaming and start building. People often say, but what if things happen that I truly can't control? Of course they will. Life will throw things at you that you didn't choose. Rejection, loss, failure, disappointment. Responsibility doesn't deny that reality, it redefines it. It says, I can't control everything that happens, but I can control how I respond. That's power. Because while others drown in frustration, the responsible person swims towards solutions. In every difficulty lies the seed of a breakthrough, but only those who take responsibility can find it. The rest are too busy explaining why it can't be done. When you take ownership of your life, you no longer wait for opportunities. You create them. You no longer fear failure, you extract wisdom from it. You no longer resist challenges, you welcome them as your training ground. The mindset of responsibility is not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. Every morning you face two choices to blame or to build. Every conversation, every setback, every delay tests that choice. And every time you choose responsibility, you grow stronger, more capable, more unstoppable. Because the truth is simple, the more responsibility you take, the more power you gain. And the day you decide that everything in your life is your responsibility is the day you become truly free. Failure is not defeat. It's preparation. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has one thing in common. They failed often and deeply. But what separates champions from the rest is how they interpret failure. Most people see it as the end of the road, a signal to stop trying. The successful ones, however, see failure as failure, lesson disguised as loss. They understand that every failure refines you, toughens you, and prepares you for what success demands. Failure is not a punishment, it's feedback. It's life's way of asking, how badly do you want this? Because if success came easily, everyone would have it. The truth is, that the universe doesn't give great rewards to those who only want success. It gives them to those who earn it through persistence. Every failed attempt strengthens your ability to adapt, to think, to endure. It builds mental armor. It transforms ambition into resilience. Think about it, a boxer doesn't win because he never gets hit. He wins because he learns how to take a punch and keep moving. The same applies to life. Every time you fall, you learn where your weaknesses are. Every time something doesn't, what does? That's preparation. You're being shaped for a level of success your current self isn't ready for yet. Failure doesn't break you, it builds the version of you that can handle what you're asking for. I've seen people quit right before their breakthrough because they mistook rejection for a final answer. But rejection isn't an ending, it's a redirection, it's a test of your vision and your patience. You might fail 10 times, 100 times and still be one try away from transformation. The key is to stay in the game long enough to let failure do its work. Because failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. It's the price of mastery. Look at any world-class performer, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They've all collected failures like trophies. Thomas Edison famously said, I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's not arrogance, that's understanding. He knew mindset les petits esprits discutants. He knew that every so-called mistake was teaching him something crucial. Failure, when embraced, becomes your greatest mentor. It's honest. It doesn't flatter you. It shows you the truth about your preparation, your mindset. Esprits discutants, your limits, and challenges you to grow beyond them. When you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift in perspective turns frustration into fuel. AVA, nimens at les petits esprits discutants. It keeps you hungry instead of hopeless. Because failure is not evidence of your weakness. It's proof that you're trying to expand your strength. The only real failure is refusing to learn from the experience. Esprits discutants, everything else is progress wearing a disguise. So, embrace the stumbles, the rejections, the false starts. They're not detours, the direction. Each one is sharpening your instincts, building your endurance. These événements et les petits esprits discutants and preparing you for the moment when your preparation meets opportunity. When that day comes, when success finally arrives, you'll realize it didn't happen despite your failures, but because of them. The action builds belief. Belief fuels more action. This is the cycle that creates unstoppable momentum. Most people wait until they feel confident before they act, but that's the trap. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. Les petits esprits discutants. You don't wait to believe you can. You start doing and belief follows. The very act of taking a step forward, even a small one, esprits discutants begins to shift your identity from I want to I'm doing it. Every action you take reinforces a new image of yourself, someone capable, committed, and in motion. The human brain needs evidence before it can believe something is possible, and the fastest way to create that evidence is through action. The moment you start, no matter how uncertain you feel, you begin proving to yourself that progress is possible. Each step builds proof, and proof builds confidence. That's how momentum is born, not from thinking, but from doing. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to take the first step and trust that the rest will appear as you climb. Imagine someone who wants to get fit but spends weeks watching workout video, researching diets, and waiting for motivation. Meanwhile, another person simply starts, goes for a run, eats one healthy meal, lifts one weight. Guess who feels more confident after a week? The one who acted. Because while knowledge informs, action transforms. Esprits discutants. Every small action plants the seed of belief that says, I can do this. The more you do, the more you believe, the more you believe, the more you do. That's how success compounds. In business, in sports, esprits discutants. In life, action is always the catalyst. You can have the most perfect plan in your mind, but it means nothing until you move. Action cuts through fear, it silences overthinking. It replaces doubt with evidence. Les petits esprits discutants, because once you've taken that first leap, your mind has to adjust. It can no longer tell you can't because you already did. That's how you rewire yourself from hesitation to confidence. Many people misunderstand these. Many people misunderstand belief as something you must have before starting, but the truth is belief is built through experience. A speaker becomes confident by speaking. A writer becomes sure of their voice by writing. Les petits esprits discutants. A leader becomes strong by leading. Confidence is the result, not the requirement. The secret is to act even when you're uncertain. That uncertainty is in the barrier, is the doorway to growth. Les petits esprits discutants. Action also breaks the paralysis of perfectionism. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin. When you act, you learn. And when you learn, you improve. Every attempt teaches you something. Les petits esprits discutants, even if it doesn't go perfectly. That's why imperfect action always beats perfect hesitation. Because while others are waiting for clarity, you're creating it through movement. The truth is, these action and belief feed each other endlessly. You take a step, you see progress, your belief grows. And that belief gives you courage to take the next step. Soon what once felt impossible becomes natural. The cycle repeats. And before you know it, you've built not just results, but a new identity. The identity of someone who acts, believes, and achieves. Success begins the moment you decide to think differently. Everything you experience, esprits discutants. Every result you get, every opportunity you attract, it all starts in want to change their lives, but they try to do it by changing their circumstances. Instead of their thinking, they wait for better conditions. These événements et les petits esprits discutants, better timing or better luck. But the truth is, the world doesn't change when your situation improves. It changes when your perspective does. The moment you shift the way you think, you begin to shift everything around you. Petits esprits discuten this. Your thoughts are like seeds. Whatever you plant, you grow. If you constantly think in terms of limitation, fear and doubt, you'll unconsciously act in ways that confirm those thoughts. But when you think in terms of possibility, growth, and resilience, your actions are aligned with that vision. It's not magic, it's psychology. The brain follows the dominant thoughts it believes to be true. So when you start thinking differently, when you decide to focus on solutions instead of problems, lessons instead of losses, opportunities instead of obstacles, you unlock a different level of life. Successful people are not born with a special gene, they've simply trained their minds to interpret reality in a way that empowers them. When most people see a setback, they see feedback. When most see risk, they see potential. This mindset doesn't eliminate challenges, it just changes their meaning. And meaning is everything. Because how you interpret an event determines how you respond to it. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same failure. One quits, the other grows. The only difference between them is their thinking. Deciding to think differently also means refusing to accept the limits others place on you. The world will try to define what's possible for you based on statistics, opinions, or past results, but none of that defines your future unless you accept it. When you begin to think differently, you start asking better questions. Instead of, how can I do this? You ask, how can I make this happen? That small shift turns hesitation into strategy. You stop waiting for permission to dream and you start building the mindset that creates new realities. The most powerful transformations in history, in business, science, sports, art, began with someone who thought differently. Every breakthrough was once an idea that others dismissed. Thinking differently means daring to challenge comfort, tradition, and fear. It's the decision to look at what everyone else sees and choose to say differently. It's the mental courage to say, there's another way and I'll find it. Once your mind expands, it never returns to its old limits. When you start seeing possibilities instead of problems, the world responds to you differently. You attract new people, new ideas, new opportunities, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. The decision to think differently is the spark that ignites every great success story. It's the internal revolution that turns ordinary people into visionaries, dreamers into doers, and potential into power.